Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Between the Melodies, where we talk all things music related to help you navigate your own journey. So today we have a really special guest, someone who's not only a music producer, a DJ, but also a label owner, a mentor, a teacher as well, and also the man behind Soundcation, which we'll dive into in this episode as well. Please welcome Dennis Sheperd.
Hey, how are you doing?
Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit more to the listeners?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was already relatively complete what you told about me. But basically, I started like 20 years ago as an artist, actually as a bedroom producer, like many of you guys out there. And yeah, I was just always very passionate about music. And so I started from the production side. It took a few years, and then I grew into the DJing role as well. So I got my first bookings in 2009, and then started touring internationally that year as well. And the other things they kind of like evolved from that point on. So I did the artist thing for a couple years, and then 2015 was the point where I decided I want to go full-time music production or music industry, let's say. And that's also basically 1 year after I founded the label. Then I started private tuition. And a couple years later, 2017 was the first time I did a music production retreat, which you already mentioned, called Soundcation. And that's basically the kind of journey I went through. And right now, I'm still doing all of it. So I'm still an artist. I still tour. I still release music. I still teach music production as well. But I also still run the retreats, and I run the record label. And I do a lot of like mentorship in general. So additionally, I also started writing, so co-writing vocals. So that started in 2019 as well. Um, it started with Katy Heath, who I collaborated with many times. And so I invited her into the studio, and then I saw that there's a lot of chemistry between us. So I recorded her vocals. We co-wrote the songs together. Then I did the vocal production as well. And yeah, that's another like kind of like business venture I have, because I've also created vocal sample packs for Splice that did very well. And yeah, this is kind of like the small universe I created for myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's really awesome. And like you just mentioned here, there's a lot of stuff that you've done over the years. So again, I'm really excited to have you on the podcast.
Awesome.
To kick things off, let's start with some quick fire questions just to get a better picture of yourself, both as an artist and as a person. So
Mhm.
how would you describe the Dennis Sheperd sound, like in 3 words?
Progressive, melancholic, and catchy.
And what's one track from your discography that still means like most to you today?
Wow, that's a hard question, but well, I would say Fallen Angel, because that was my biggest track, and it really opened many doors for me.
If someone was to discover your music for the first time, which track should they start with? Should they start with that track or something else?
My sound has evolved quite a bit from that sound, but I would say something like the recent one, In the Dark, a collaboration with Aldor and Katy Heath. That's good representation of my sound currently. Yeah.
Now, just shifting a little bit, what's one thing outside of music that inspires your production?
Well, life in general, like emotions, like moments in life, but also seeing nature, sunsets, beautiful talks with people. Um, so everything that kind of like, yeah, makes you feel emotional, or like, yeah, makes you feel emotional, I would say. So, um, life in general is very inspiring for me to produce music. Yeah.
Yeah, that links really well, I think, to your label name as well, a tribute to life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And lastly, where would you recommend people to visit in your home country?
Oh, there's many beautiful sites, but I would say the most beautiful area in Germany is probably Bodensee. It's like in the very south.
Mhm.
So Bodensee is a lake that's in between Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It's beautiful. Yeah.
So yeah, those were some really interesting insights. And now let's
Mhm.
dive deeper into your journey as an artist. So, you've been in
Mhm.
the scene for many years now. So how would you describe like how has your sound and identity evolved over time?
So for me, it's always I always go with the flow. So like there's not like this master plan. Oh, this sound is trendy right now, and so I have to jump on the bandwagon. Let's say. So it's always about how I feel. But of course, there is certain styles that will inspire me. So for example, around 2020, the camel fat art bed sound really inspired me, and that also pushed me to go further into the progressive direction and become less trancy, let's say. Um, yeah, so like I would say I've always been going with the flow. So like I started more housey and progressive. Then I kind of like started liking the trancy sounds a bit more. So around 20, 2009, 10, 11, I started shifting my sound towards that. And then I did that for a couple years, 2015. I really like this electro house influenced trance with like these really strong electro bass lines. So I did that for a while. But it's not like, oh, this is trendy now and that's why I'm doing it. It was more like I'm feeling it. It's like it really inspired me. And so, yeah, I've been just going through that. And then from 2015 to like 2020, I would say not much changed in my sound, but then 2020, when I discovered Camel Fat, Artbed, I felt really inspired by the more organic sounds and the less perfect sounding style of production, let's say, like on purpose, not perfect sounding, which is a big difference, I would say. And yeah, so I went with that a bit. And now I'm still like closer to that sound, but I also feel inspired by deep house quite a bit lately, melodic techno as well. So Anima was a big influence as well in the last 2 years. Um, yeah, that's basically it. So I always do my thing. And of course, I hope other people out there like it too, but it's actually not the main goal to produce music for people. It's actually, I need to like it, I need to love it. And that's the most important thing. But I can say one thing I once said with Rank One in the studio, a legendary trance producer. And he said to me, and that's one thing that I will remember forever. He said, if I like what I'm doing here, there will be people out there who will like it too. So, and that gives you so much confidence in your own production that, yeah, like it really stuck with me, this one sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's very true because there's just so many people out there. You never know like who's gonna pick up your track and like where it's gonna go. So yeah, that's a really
Exactly.
cool quote.
And often it's those tracks where you least expect that they blow up, those blow up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, the next thing I want to ask was if you felt like there was a moment that you ever had to sort of reinvent yourself, but maybe for you it was more like it was more natural, just when you felt inspired to do something a little bit different, then you would take that change.
Yeah, I mean, around 2020, there was also, I felt really inspired by the techno sound. So, like drum code and Filth on Acid and stuff. But that was when the techno sound was still a little slower. So, around 128. Now they're like super fast. So, not that much my thing anymore. But around that time, I really felt inspired. So, I actually created an alias called Dr. Dirty.
Mm.
And I did some techno stuff as well with that alias. And it was pretty successful too. So it's like you need to keep the fire and the spark alive. So if you end up doing the same thing over and over again, it may please some fans, but actually for me, it would be less satisfying because I would feel bored at some point. I always like to explore how to create different sounds and how did they do this, how did they do that. Then I need to learn again, challenge myself, and that what keeps the spark alive for me. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think by doing that you get better as a producer as well.
for sure. Yeah.
And now with the competition, say like ever so high, like there's just lots of music out there. What do you think it takes to stay relevant over time And maybe like, is there any mistakes you see with like newer artists in what they do?
Staying relevant, being an artist entails so many things these days. So it's starts with networking, showing face at events, at conventions, all of that kind of stuff. But then you also, of course, have to take care of your social media presence. You have to have good productions. You have to be a good DJ as well. You have to do DJ live sets that are recorded maybe for YouTube. You maybe need to do remixes for bigger names. Maybe you have to get remixes by bigger names. So you need to think about PR, about ads, about playlists on Spotify, how to push your streams on Spotify. So it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. So, but all of these things nowadays, I think they're all important to stay relevant. A lot of people they don't. So you have to look at music and being an artist in two ways. Like I said earlier, it's my passion, and I want to keep the spark alive. But at the same time, you also need to think about it as a business, and yes, you can grow organically. You can grow a business organically, but will you ever be? It can be any business, right? If you do a new drink and you want to get to the Coca-Cola level, right? Organically, this will never be possible. You have to invest. You have to invest heavily into marketing, into ads, into this and that. And that's a mistake that I see with newcomers. They're like a bit scared to invest, for example, into good singers, into a big remixer, into, I don't know, doing a music video, whatever you need for that record, or a good artwork or something, or like a good press shots. Like, I mean, I've spent thousands of euros on press shots with really good photographers, but it's something that needs to be done. And if you want to portray a certain quality with your profile as an artist, these are things you have to do. Like for me, a bad looking flyer, for example, is not acceptable. The same is for press shots. The same is for a bad artwork, a bad sounding remix. So you need to take the money and put it in and invest. And I feel like a lot of newcomers do a mistake there. They try to grow the brand organically, and yes, that's possible. But when you start from zero, how do you reach people? Like, how do you get people to hear? You can only work with multiplicators. I don't know if that's the right word in English, but basically, like, for example, collaborating with a well-known singer. The singer has a profile. They have a fan base. Now this fan base can discover you. Same for remixers, same for collaborators even. Last year, October, I at my own expense, I flew to Moldova to sit with Andrew Rayel in the studio because I really wanted to collaborate with him. And he has a way bigger profile than me. And so it was worth it for me to spend that money on flights and everything else. And the time, of course. But this is stuff you have to do. And there's no way around it. So that's, for me, the biggest mistake I see. Yeah.
That's super insightful. And like you said, I guess it applies to like just business, not music related as well. That you got to put in that effort, put a bit of investment in to get that quality up. And now I'd love to shift gears a little bit and talk about your label, A Tribute to Life, which is a big part of what you do. And also, huge congratulations for reaching, I think, 100 releases with the label recently. That's an incredible milestone. What inspired you to start A Tribute to Life, and what vision did you have for it?
So A Tribute to Life, that's like a brand that has been with me since 2007. It was actually my second release under Dennis Sheperd was called A Tribute to Life. Then my first artist album was called A Tribute to Life, and then I also called the label A Tribute to Life. So it's just basically me being grateful about life and life giving me these chances, and me actually also taking those chances. And So I want to, with my music and the music of others, I want to give back and make the world a better place, basically. So that's a tribute to life in a nutshell. And back then, that was the main motivation. But also, I wanted to be, I wanted to learn about how things work in the background. I wanted to be in control of my own release schedule. And yeah, these were all like things that made me consider doing a label. And it at first it was quite labor intensive because I mean I was very new to this and I didn't know how things work in the background, and also technology wasn't as advanced as today, to be honest with you. So it was a lot of work, and this is why in 2017 I think I decided to hand over the label to Res Nitsen Music. He's a songwriter from Netherlands. So the label became a sub-label of his label. And so did the contract work, he did the accounting and all of that, but only for the new catalog. So it was around, I think, 10 releases or something. And then we decided to stop working together. And then I made the decision at that point, I think it must have been around 2017, 18, to stop the label. Because I've just felt overwhelmed with all the administrative burden that entails, running a label. And but at some point I thought, okay, no, I want to give it another chance, and I work with so much amazing talent now, and I also want them to have basically like a platform to present their music, because I feel they just didn't get picked up by the labels, although I strongly believed in their music, and I just didn't want to accept that. And this was one of the main motivations to open the label, but also, again, to have a bit more flexibility with my release schedule and being able to decide, okay, do I do this release with, let's say, Black Hole Recordings, or do I do it on my own label? And just to have this freedom already means a lot to me. And also last year I did a whole album on the label as well, called The Next Generation. That's maybe also something we will talk about later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just good to be in control of every part of what entails releasing music, basically. Yeah.
I know from a previous episode, I talked to Semblance Smile, and he also has his own label. And I think it just allowed him to also create his own world.
Yes.
Like you said, with the freedom to do the things on your own terms. But also I think it really helps to know from both sides. So from you knowing what it takes to run a label and to make a release with a label, but then also when you work with other labels, you have a lot of information there to help make the decisions as well.
Yeah.
And now for you, what makes a track stand out when you listen to demos?
The first thing for me is it catchy enough? Like, is this catchy enough? And then is there like a unique element in there? So, honestly, these are the most important things. And then next thing in line would probably be the mix and master. It just has to sound good enough. Like a bad mixing and mastering can really spoil the record, in my opinion. So these three things are super important. And then style-wise, the label is quite open. So we do some deep house, we do some trance, we do some progressive, melodic house, melodic techno. So in that regard, we're really open, but it has to be quality. That's the most important thing. Yeah.
So I think your label and your vision of trying to build a community is awesome. And yeah, like you mentioned, you had an album that was released towards the end of last year, which I think was just collaborations with people you work with.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's a really cool concept. I haven't seen it anywhere. So
Yeah.
what was that experience like to working with so many people on this project?
Yeah, so the basic idea was the album is called The Next Generation. And basically, as the title says, I wanted to have a showcase of the next generation of artists who maybe need to be a bit more in the spotlight than they are right now, and so I wanted to give them a platform to shine, basically, with the album. So we did collaborations. Most of the guys are like coaching students of mine, so I've helped them polish their sound and stuff. And the moment I thought they're far enough to collaborate with me on the album, I decided to ask them if they are up for it. And yeah, result is amazing in my opinion. I'm really proud of the album. I still think it is very, very strong. And of course, it was quite a challenge because obviously collaborating with another professional is another thing than collaborating with a hobby producer. So a lot of things I had to explain and, double check and things like that. And then also just in general, with so many collaborators being involved, there was such a big project. I think it's probably 30 collaborators or something, which is crazy. So yeah, that was quite a challenge too, because just communication wise, it was so challenging. But yeah, in the end, it was a huge success. We did very well on the streaming platforms. We did very well with actually CD sales. We still did a CD release as well. And we're just actually currently working on remixes for the whole album. So we will also do a remix album of that. And I'm also thinking about maybe I want to do a number 2 sometime in the future as well. So yeah, for me it was really, really nice. It was an awesome experience. One other thing that was really great is I ran one of those Soundcation music production retreats last year, August, and we had a DJ live set after the retreat, and a lot of the collaborators, they actually came to the retreat and then afterwards also were in the video of that DJ live set. So we published the live set on the 1001 Tracklists YouTube channel, and yeah, it was just an amazing experience, to be honest, to have everyone there and yeah, celebrate the music.
Yeah, I mean that's a really awesome project. And what would you say is one lesson that you took away from that experience of creating this project?
One lesson, to don't do too tight deadlines, I would say. Yeah, I was running into some issues there just because the project was so big and so many people involved that, yeah, the deadlines were very tight and it caused a lot of stress on my side. So I would say leave more gaps and be a bit more relaxed with a project like that is definitely the better approach. Yeah.
And I think that's interesting because that's a bit more of like a practical sort of aspect that I guess maybe you don't come across that often with other things, or maybe people seem to maybe not think about it at the start when undertaking a big project. So that's a really cool insight. And conversely, what did you hope your collaborators gain from this process of creating the album?
Well, I mean, more awareness for their music, which I think we definitely achieved. The streams are really, really good on Spotify, especially. And that was the main goal, and that we achieved that for sure. And then also, it was like almost like how do you say this? Like I wanted them, for many, it was their first release, and I wanted them to see how it actually works. How do the contracts look? How does it all work behind the scenes to create an album? And so it was a really nice thing for them too, to get an insight into that. And many surprises there as well. And I think these two things. So them, first of all, of course, they also learned a lot music production wise in the process, because collaborating with me, they saw my techniques and stuff. And like for me, it was also great because it was a huge challenge working in different DAWs. I always worked in the DAW of the student, so I worked in Bitwig, Logic, Ableton, and Cubase on that album. So big challenge for me too, but I survived, let's say. And so that was great. And then Yeah, I think then them having an inside look into how things work, then also them, getting a platform for their music. So all of that I achieved, check mark, and I'm very happy,
Yeah.
satisfied. Yeah.
Congratulations on that, because it's a big album. And now something similar to that, and also I find really unique is Soundcation. I
Mm-hmm.
think it really stands out to everyone I've spoken to so far. So it's a really cool concept. And how did that idea sort of come about?
So long story, and it goes way back to 2016 when I started working with my first online student, coaching student, and him and I we had a very good click. His name is Edwin Sui, artist named Yellow, and we had a very good click. And I had this one idea where I said, "Oh, I would love to get a villa in Bali and do like a boot camp style week with some of my producer buddies." And yeah, I just told him that as a random thing during one of our sessions. Then he said, "Wait a minute, I would love to be there. I would pay for this and love to learn from you guys." And that's basically how we started creating the concept for this. And so basically, Edwin became my co-founder of the Soundcation retreats, and we ran the retreats for several years until 2024, and that's when he decided to take a step back. And since then, I'm running them by myself. And the idea is basically, so yeah, like I said already, we're a week somewhere beautiful here in Bali. You rent a villa. There's three international DJs and music producers there for the whole week. A group of up to 15 students and participants, and we basically do seminars, one-on-one sessions, industry talks. We do group bonding. We do a lot of networking, and yeah, everyone leaves the week with new friends and new experiences and new knowledge, of course.
I mean, I assume that there's a lot of challenges, but what was the biggest challenge into turning this idea into reality?
Well, there's a lot of challenges. I mean, there's just from an administrative point, like a lot of legal things you have to consider, also running retreats in different countries and stuff. But apart from that, from all the admin stuff, which is quite a challenge. Also, basically finding the right people to teach at those retreats. That's a big challenge because a good artist doesn't necessarily equal a good teacher at the retreats. So, I mean, a lot of artists they do great music, but they are, as a person, very messy. For example, right? Yeah. So, you basically we have to, or I have to find the people that are good artists, that are still that they have credibility, they're still relevant, but they also need to be able to teach in a good manner and be organized and yeah, stick to deadlines and things like that. So that kind of you know, how to say makes the pool of potential instructors at the retreats a bit smaller, you know.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge, I would say, finding those people.
Yeah, but I mean, from what I've seen, there's always a really cool selection of obviously yourself will be there, and also just other artists. I think Richard Duran was there in the latest one, I think.
Yes,
Um,
correct. Yeah,
so I'm sure
and
the people there can learn so much about
yeah,
these
and
people.
we have a next one lined up in October with Mark Sixma and Jerome Ismail. So I'm very happy about that lineup. It's very strong. I'm really looking forward to it. Again in Bali, of course. So yeah, soundcation.net if you're interested. Yeah.
And now, what kind of transformation do you see in the attendees by the end of that week?
Well, I mean, it's always like what you make out of it, right? So the Soundcation, it's a door opener. So anything could happen, to be honest. We have had participants who ended up collaborating with an instructor as well. We've had participants getting their track signed in the week as well. But generally speaking, everyone will leave the week with more knowledge about music productions with many small little tricks and tips and small habit improvements. Um, and yeah, they will just be a better producer after the week. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
of course, they will have many new friends, which is also great in the music industry. Yeah.
yeah, that's great to hear. And yeah, I mean, I hope it grows in the future, and that you can be able to do this for a lot of different editions. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have time for, unfortunately. It's been really interesting, eye-opening to talk to you, and I'm certain there's a lot of things for the listeners to really take home as well. And to close off this episode, we're going to have like a short section just on some shout outs, and hopefully it'll be quite interesting between the different guests we have here on the podcast. So for the first like artist or group, who would you say is like a one to watch or like a rising talent in this scene?
Oh wow, a rising talent in the scene. That's a tough one. I would say actually one of my students, Aldo.
Yeah.
Aldo. He's a rising star. He's just opening for Armin van Buuren.
Mm.
He's releasing regularly on Andrew Ayel's label. He's had a release on Tool Room. He's really, really ambitious, and he has the potential to become a very relevant artist in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had an episode with him actually, and to be fair, he actually recommended you. So yeah, but yeah, that's great to hear, because I know like his stuff, are really strong tracks
Yes.
from him. And is there any like artists in particular that you'd like to see on this podcast and to share their stories and experiences?
That's a good one. I think Mark Sixma could be interesting. Mark Sixma is a really, really interesting guy. He has worked with Armin van Buuren in the studio. He has releases on Revealed, the label by Hardwell. He's a good buddy of mine.
We'll see what we can do to get Mark on the podcast. And now, before we finish, let's just look ahead a bit into the rest of 2026. So, is there anything you want to share with your fans of your stuff, coming in the rest from the rest of the year?
There's actually a new album coming,
Oh wow!
which I'm quite excited about, because I'm collaborating with some friends, but also with new faces. Very, very credible artists that I'm really, really proud of collaborating with. Can't say more at this point, but it's going to be a big, big album. So really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see that when it comes out. Thanks again for joining us today. It's really great to have a chat with you.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Thank you, and see you everyone in the next episode.